Following Conor McGregor's victory over Donald Cerrone, a lot of UFC fans have been actually clamoring and asking what Conor McGregor should actually do next, depending on his actual career. So I'm just going to go through a few options here based on this graphic that you can see, and I'm going to analyze each option and just see what fight he should take from a fan perspective and also from a manager's perspective. So if I was managing Conor McGregor, which fight would I think would be the best route for him to take in terms of maximizing his market value, making as much money as he can make, and also the best fight for him to take from a stylistic point of view in terms of him actually winning the particular fight. So obviously there's been quite a few big fights that have been signed recently because of the coronavirus. A lot of events have been postponed. But the main event that everyone's talking about right now is obviously Tony Ferguson versus Khabib, um, Khabib, which is going to happen hopefully April 18th. It's a fight that everyone's looking forward to. Um, Obviously, Dana White has said on multiple occasions that although 3-4 fights have been postponed, he's not going to postpone the Khabib versus Tony Ferguson fight. I think Dana White is very determined to make this particular fight happen, and obviously the winner of this particular fight could potentially fight McGregor. Now, obviously, McGregor has already fought Khabib, and him fighting the winner of Tony Ferguson versus Khabib. Let's just say hypothetically, Khabib was to win that particular fight. Um, I just don't think that that's a good fight from a stylistic perspective. Obviously, he's already lost to Khabib in the past, and I think obviously the rematch will make a shit ton of money. But the fact is, there's nothing that Conor McGregor has done since his comeback, since he's come back, that warrants him actually getting a shot against Khabib. Obviously, Dana White wants that particular fight to happen, and it could generate a lot of money. But just purely from a stylistic perspective, I don't think that's a particularly good fight for Conor McGregor to take if he was to actually come back. As that fight, I think Khabib just has his number. Like I think a win over Donald Cerrone, it took like 70s. It took less than a minute for him to stop Cerrone, or it took about less than a round for him to stop Cerrone. I don't think that's enough in-ring experience for him to actually come back and actually fight Khabib and find a way to win. If he was to beat more legitimate competition, then it will make sense for him to particularly fight Khabib and obviously earn his way to the title. But for him to fight him after Khabib has beaten Ferguson, it just doesn't warrant that particular match. Let's just say hypothetically, if Tony Ferguson was to beat Khabib, I think Tony Ferguson actually beats Conor McGregor. The only way Conor McGregor could potentially beat Ferguson is to actually drop him when they're fighting stand up. The problem with that is that Tony Ferguson has shown in the past that he's very durable, and he's been dropped multiple times in the past, and he always finds a way to come back and win. And obviously, Tony Ferguson's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu skills and submission game is very good. And obviously, if you look at Conor McGregor's 3 losses, all of the losses have come via submission. So a loss against a fight between the winner of Khabib and Tony Ferguson, I just don't think that's a good fight for Conor McGregor to take. Obviously, there's another super fight on the horizon. You've got the BMF title holder, which is not Kamaru Usman, Jorge Masvidal, and you got the actual welterweight titleist, which is Kamaru Usman, and the winner of that, you could argue that McGregor, whoever McGregor fights out of them two, would be a legit super fight. Obviously, whoever he was to fight between Tony Ferguson and Khabib would be a legit super fight, but I think a fight between Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor, let's just say hypothetically Jorge Masvidal was to beat Usman, which is a very big ask, by the way. Um, a fight between Masvidal and Conor McGregor would be absolutely huge. That would be a huge pay-per-view fight. Obviously, Masvidal has got quite a lot of charisma himself. Conor McGregor is very, very charismatic, and a fight between Conor McGregor and Masvidal, I think that could potentially break pay-per-view records. But hypothetically, I'm gonna make a separate video for this. I don't know if Jorge Masvidal got what it takes to actually get past Usman. in my opinion, Kamaru Usman might be too much for Masvidal. I was very impressed with Kamaru Usman's performance against Colby. He showed his ability to stand up fight, and obviously he's a wrestler as well. So I think that's a very good fight between if Jorge Masvidal was to beat Kamaru Usman, a very good fight for Conor McGregor to fight Masvidal. But a fight between Conor McGregor versus Usman. I think Kamaru Usman actually beats Conor McGregor. I just think he's too big. Obviously, his submission game is on point. He's a very good wrestler, and I just think he's just way too powerful for. He's just way too dynamic for Conor McGregor at this point in time. And obviously, he's been at the weight longer, and he's huge for the weight as well. Conor McGregor is particularly big for the weight, but I think Kamaru Usman is very very big for the weight. He looks almost two weight classes bigger than most of his opponents that he fights at welterweight. So I think Kamaru Usman, if he was to go past Masvidal, literally that would be. I believe that the winner of the if Jorge Masvidal was to beat Kamaru Usman, then Conor McGregor should try to get a fight with Jorge Masvidal. But if Kamaru Usman gets past Masvidal, I just think stylistically, he's all wrong for Conor McGregor. Another good fight would be against Colby. Now, the Colby fight is quite interesting. Both of them are trash talkers, but a lot of people say, "Oh, Colby's coming off a loss, so how does that warrant him fighting? How does he get a Conor McGregor title shot if he's coming off a loss?" But if you look at Donald Cerrone, I believe Donald Cerrone was coming off a loss as well, like 3-4 fights. 3 of his last 4 fights, he's been coming off losses. But just to take that to one side, I think a Colby Masvidal fight, not now Colby McGregor fight would be huge in terms of pay-per-view sales. Both of them are known to be quite controversial, so they can really sell this particular fight. That would be a huge fight. That would be a huge fight, and I think McGregor's got a very good chance of beating Colby. Obviously, Colby got stopped by Kamaru Usman in his last fight, but I think Colby needs to come back with a win for that to be a very huge event. If he fights McGregor straight away, obviously Colby's got a good chance of beating McGregor as well, but it would make it a much bigger fight if Colby was coming off a win. So if Colby could get a win, or maybe he can rematch Kamaru Usman, and obviously the jaw is healed, then a fight between Colby and McGregor would be huge. That could generate a lot of money. Obviously, if let's just say hypothetically, Kamaru Usman was to beat Masvidal, if the winner of Colby and Masvidal, obviously that's a bit of a grudge match as well. If the winner of that was to get the McGregor fight, that would be very good. So another fight that a lot of people are overlooking at lightweight is Charles Oliveira. Obviously, he's coming off his submission win over Kevin Lee. I think that's a horrible matchup for McGregor. I think Charles Oliveira would actually submit McGregor, and it's a high risk, low reward type fight. So obviously, Charles Oliveira, he's respected by hardcore MMA fans and UFC fans, but generally speaking, Charles Oliveira is he's not that well known outside of the UFC, and he's not that marketable. He's not as marketable as a Jorge Masvidal. He's not as marketable as a Colby. So a fight between him and McGregor, that will be some horrible matchmaking. Whoever makes that fight should never manage anyone's career. But obviously, I think Charles Oliveira has the style to actually beat McGregor. If you look at his record, I think he's got the most submissions in the UFC. So, and if you look at the way McGregor has lost in most of his fights, it's been via submission. So, a fight between Charles Oliveira and McGregor would be actually terrible for McGregor. One other fight that everyone's overlooking it's not everyone's overlooking, but he's getting overlooked for some reason, is obviously Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje would be a very good fight for McGregor. I think that's a very winnable fight for McGregor. If McGregor was to beat Justin Gaethje, then I think a fight between McGregor and Khabib, let's say Khabib gets past Tony Ferguson, then it warrants that rematch being made, because obviously McGregor's done something since he's come back, since he beat Donald Cerrone, for him to warrant a fight between him and Khabib, if Khabib gets past Ferguson. But yeah, I think the thing about Justin Gaethje is he doesn't move his head enough, And obviously, McGregor's a puncher at that particular weight, and he's shown his devastating power in the past. So I think McGregor's got the power to actually stop Justin Gaethje. In terms of stylistically, it's a great match for McGregor. So if I was managing his career, the three fights I'll look at is the Masvidal fight, the Colby fight, and the Justin Gaethje fight. The fighters I'll stay away from a managerial perspective is Kamaru Usman, the winner of Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov, and obviously Charles Oliveira. They're the three fights that I would try to actively avoid at this point in time. Like, we might be able to make that fight further down the line after McGregor has actually got some experience, but at this moment in time, the best fight for him to make, the best fight for him to take is Justin Gaethje, Colby, and Masvidal. If Masvidal gets past Kamaru Usman, and literally, if Masvidal gets past Kamaru Usman, my God, that's a hell of a run that he's had so far. He's obviously beat Ben Askren, he knocked him out, finished his undefeated run. He beat Darren Till, who was, I believe, undefeated at the time, or he may have had one loss at the time. He beat Nate Diaz, and if he beats Kamaru Usman, who's undefeated and who just came off a huge win against Colby, then Masvidal versus McGregor would be absolutely huge, and it'll be a great fight to watch. So if I was managing McGregor's career, that's the three fights that I would take, and the one fight that I would absolutely avoid is the Charles Oliveira fight. I think stylistically, Charles Oliveira is an absolute nightmare matchup for McGregor, but the best matchup for him stylistically, and would be a good way for him to actually get his name back into title legitimacy, is a fight against Justin Gaethje. So that's my opinions, people. Subscribe to this channel, and I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and also join the groups below that I've got listed on the comment tab. Thank you. Bye.